I've been thinking about Japan. I've been thinking about the reactor. It's been about 3 weeks since the earthquake. It was a 9. Geologically speaking, everyone knew that a 9 could happen. Back in the 60s when they were building the reactor, I guess they just preferred to think that a 6.9 was a better number because, well, they'd had one of those in the not too distant past, and it was a lot easier to build something to stand up to a 6.9. Seems like a reasonable assumption. It's fairly typical human hubris. Sure, nuclear energy is difficult, they say, but we've underestimated the risks, so we have undue confidence. So long as we stay within our parameters, everything will be good. But that's like a tightrope walk. So long as everything's fine, it's fine. But once you start to fall, it usually ends rather badly. The news coverage for Fukushima is reminding me a lot of the news coverage for the Gulf oil spill last year. In the beginning it was terribly exciting. Lots of really great visuals, burning things, tidal wavy things. And then it sort of settles down to that it's a chronic, ongoing shitstorm, but there's really nothing you can do about it, so we're not going to be putting it on front page anymore. Oh, and all those toxins or nuclear radio isotopes and stuff that we used to tell you for years and years are terrible for you, they're not so bad. So, let's not panic. There is another industrial disaster that actually makes a fairly obvious parallel. That's of course Chernobyl, for those of us old enough to remember it. It shares some of the same things: meltdown, radioactive dead zone. It's also different in that this Fukushima reactor involves multiple reactors, and there's much more material on site to be spread around. The two nuclear disasters do share something that I find quite surprising, actually, and that is that they are very dependent right now on real-life human beings basically sacrificing themselves on suicide missions to go into highly radioactive areas and try and remediate and prevent further disaster. In the case of Chernobyl, I can kind of understand that. That was in the mid-80s, and the Soviet Union was a crumbling empire. It had passed its strength. Japan, on the other hand, is a preeminent industrialized nation in the second decade of the 21st century. So the question that keeps coming to my mind, given the fact that this is Japan we're talking about, I want to know, where are all the robots? Where are all the frickin' robots? It looks like they're just not ready for prime time when it comes to doing what robots were supposed to do, which is doing all the jobs which are too menial or dangerous for human beings to do. And stopping a nuclear reactor that's blown sounds like one of those perfect candidates for too dangerous for human beings to do. Instead, the robots are dancing, playing sports, and playing musical instruments, the sort of things that human beings should be doing. I guess the next thing they'll be doing is the Japanese will be making a robot that will smoke weed, so that humans don't have to. Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto.